Hey guys, I'm back here again. I got another quick video here for you guys today. We were starting to get some snow blowers in this week over here because people are worried by the weather, because the meteorologist was predicting we may have some snow in our area possibly tomorrow, maybe 1 or 2 inches. So we had basically had about 5 or 6 people call us up here and wanted to have their snow blowers done, and this one is one of the second machines we had this past week over here for. That guy dropped it off here on I think it was on Saturday. I think it was Saturday morning or Friday morning. I can't remember. It was last week, and we got the machine basically prepped, ready to go, except for doing the oil change over here, because the guy hasn't used this machine in probably, I think he said, like 5 or 6 years. The last time he tried to start, he originally bought it because I think was it he wanted to have somebody that like a snow blows walkways for him and his grandfather's place over here. So he bought a relatively cheap machine, like a single stage machine. He didn't want to pony up the cash and buy one of the dual stage, like $800 or $900 machines. So he got one of the cheaper single stage machines out there for that. So this is a Troy-Bilt Squall 2100. The 2100 basically means your 21-inch cutting path on a machine, and it has a Chinese overhead valve engine. These newer ones like this is right here, the Troy-Bilt Squall version. We'll give you a shot of the identification tag right here as well too. This one is made in 2012, so it has all the barcode information, anything else right on the side of the front auger, front auger unit assembly right here for that. So we'll zoom in here and show you that. There you go, right there, 2012. And he brought it over here because the thing wouldn't start over here for that, and we had to check it out over here, and we had to install new carb on here. The fuel tank, he had bad gas. I don't know what the heck he did, but he had all kind of water down inside the tank down inside here. He had, it must have been, I actually took out like half a cup of water in this stupid thing. I'm thinking this thing open, it's like stuck on here. Yeah, he got a full tank of gas right now. We flushed the tank on the lines at least twice on here. He had like half a cup of water, and I don't know what the guy did, but we drained it out, cleaned the line out, put the new carb on here as well, new spark plug. I gotta do the oil change again here one more time because the oil was kind of brown, and I don't know what was going on with that, but we always change out the oil at least twice over here on these snow blowers, because a lot of the machines we see over here, they sit for maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years in some guy's garage, and you can possibly have a lot of moisture condensation build up inside the crank case down there. So it's always a good idea, to change at least maybe once a season out there for that, because unfortunately these things don't get used like your lawnmower or your tractor out there for that. And it's pretty simple to drain on these newer ones like this right here, these Chinese ones. That's one of the maybe positive features with it on there. You have a small drain plug right down here, guys. You can either loosen this one up right here, or you have your dipstick over here as well too. You can also take this thing off right here and drain it. Just open it up, just tilt it back into like a small container, and it'll empty out right there. No problem doing that as well too. So it only takes maybe about 1 or 2 minutes to do that. Then you just go to the top over here, open it up, put brand new oil in that right there, and you're basically good to go. No problem. And they also got a new revised, call handles, mechanism on here for that as well. So this thing rotates back and forth like that on here, versus having the one where you have like a handle down on the actual chute right here as well too. So yeah, a newer design here for that. So we'll go ahead and fire it up here for you. Bear with me, it's cold out here. It's about 33 degrees out here right now, so I'm starting to freeze my butt off out here right now. So these ones, you do have to choke them every single time. This one's still hot right now. However, it is outside, and they do have the EPA carb on, or you do have to choke them every single time when you start them up. There we go, good running brake. Running brake. And the augers work fine as well too. They're working good. Good, shut it off again. We did have to change the carb on the machine because the thing was like totally clogged up. He had rust down inside the actual bowl down inside, or so the carb had to come off the machine. It's relatively easy on these newer ones. Talking about to do the job, the whole job, it was basically about an hour to 15 minutes. But I basically took my time because he had all kind of water and debris up inside his tank over here. I made sure I got all that, because that's the biggest thing you can do. Make sure the tank and the fuel line are thoroughly flushed with clean gasoline before you put a new carb onto the machine. I cannot stress that more. You have to do that. If you don't do it, you run the risk of contaminating the carb all over again, guys. So to put a new carb on here, all you do is just take off two bolts on here. It doesn't have like a third bolt up here. This model right here does not have that specific feature on here. I'll go to my shed and show you the other carb here for reference points, but you take two bolts off, 1, 2, and this whole thing slides off. And you do have to take off the pipe right here for your crankcase ventilation right down here as well too. You have a PCV line right here going to your valve, so you have to pop this thing off of the valve cover. This whole thing slides back, and you have one metal gasket behind this piece right here, and you simply you pull the carb off. You take the primer line off right down here. This primer line has to come off, and you have your fuel line over here as well too. So the fuel line goes up to the carbs, so it's basically sticking up like that, and you simply just pop it right off, and you slide the new carb on the machine. You do it's strongly advised that you do put a new intake gasket on the machine behind the carb, because this one right here, the actual carb intake gasket was stuck to the carb, and when we tried to take it out, it was basically peeling off in a couple pieces out there. So it's always a good idea to have at least 1 or 2 on spare in your shop when you're doing this kind of job. And as usual, just replace the spark plug in these things as well too, because it's a torch. Let me see what type it is. It's a torch spark plug. I don't have the exact specs sitting in my head right now, but what I'll do is I'll put a link in the bottom description for the spark plug, the oil capacity down here as well too, plus the actual carb, and also the intake gasket you need for this job here. The carbs are about let me see, I think they're about 60-70 bucks on MTD's website, but you can get them on eBay and stuff like that for maybe about 40 bucks right here for that. So I'll put a link for the carb intake gasket, spark plug, and also the oil capacity for that engine as well too. So I gotta go to my shop here right now. I was working down my shed down here today for these specific machines, so I'll show you what the carb looks like. Okay, here's your old carb. Let me get this thing focus here, sorry about that. Oh, I actually got the carb intake gasket right here, sorry about that. Okay, we have the old, here's the old gasket right here. This is the old gasket we took off the machine. This thing basically peeled off on the machine. It was basically sticking to the back of the carb right here for that. This is the old gasket. And we had the new one in the new packaging from MTD right here. And the part number right here in the packaging. Get out of my way here. It's, let me see, zoom in here and show you that. There's the part number for the intake gasket, 951-115-69A as an apple. That's for the intake gasket behind the carb. That is a critical component of the machine, because it will seal the carb going into the manifold, because you do not want any kind of air leaks on the machine. And here's the carb. You do have to take off this secondary piece they have on the top right here. This call wing plate, or I don't know what you call it. What it does is it bolts on to the actual shaft right here for your the carb's choke mechanism, where you basically pop this thing right off here, and this piece right here sticks through your housing for the back of the lower portion of the plastic housing right here. This is what it is like right here. This thing flipped around here and show you what it looks like here. Okay, this is what the bottom of the carb, right? I mean the bottom of the whole housing of the machine. You have this big plate right here. You have to get this plate unit out of the way before you can get to the carb. It's only 3 bolts. You just take 1, 2, and 3 off, and you're basically done. I got them sitting in my parts bag over here right now. You got 1, 2, and 3 bolts that go up inside of this covering right here for you. You got 1 down there. You got a couple more on the outside somewhere right about. I don't have mine right now, but it's 3 bolts that hold on the whole lower portion of this plastic cover whenever you're taking off the whole, covering protector for the motor underneath the machine right here for that. So that's what the carb looks like right here. And flip it around. This is the old carb. See, you can see right on here, it was basically starting to peel off right there. You get a chunk of the old gasket just basically sitting on here with the you see, you can see it's probably starting to scrape off here right here, but there's the old gasket right there. And it's critical you install a new gasket on these machines, because if you don't, you run the risk of, you put the old gasket back on a machine like this one right here, because it was like peeling off. It's not going to seal the carb properly where it's going into the intake manifold out there, and it's going to cause a upset fuel mix ratio problem, because it's sucking unfiltered air from outside that should not be going into the engine while it's running right there for. That's why it has to be totally sealed up when you put the machine back together. Either you cannot have any kind of air coming from outside that's not being mirrored correctly down inside the intake manifold on the machine. So that's the carb. And the other thing was, it was sticking. This thing's sticking up on top here. This thing is extremely tight right here. It's not even. It's very difficult to move this top shaft for the throttle piece right here. It's basically binding up. So probably got a little bad gas down the side here as well too. So that's the carb. Like I said before, they're going for about $70 on MTBD's website. So you need a new carb, new intake gasket, which I just showed you right here for that. That's the new intake gasket, and you got to take off this big plastic piece of stuff right here. This thing, all it does is you unbolt it, and it has access to the carb. And doing a job right here for me, I took some extra time because I really wanted do it slow and do it. Just get it done maybe about a 1 hour and 15. I'd say about an hour and 15 minutes, because we did change the oil a couple times on this machine, because he had a lot of old oil in there as well too. So I'll go ahead and put a link at the bottom of the page. So we'll go back out and take a look at the snowblower again here for the single stage machine. So that's what it is for the Troy-Bilt Squall 2100. 21-inch cutting path with a electric start on the unit as well too. So if you're an older guy and you have problems using the recoil unit on there, that would be a good option to have an electric start on your machine, so you can pull it, or so machine will spin over as fast as humanly possible with the electric start on there for that. So everything else looks okay on here. The paddles look great. They're not they're not worn down or anything else like that. So this machine is in relatively great to excellent shape right here, paddle wise, nice and thick on the rubber right here. The good thing about these ones on here is they have replaceable paddles you can actually put on these machines. You have bolts. You can go right, basically bolts go right through these things on here for that. So if they get worn down, you simply go on eBay and buy a replacement kit for the paddles on here and just swap them out in maybe about an hour's time. Versus some of the other models. Some of the other models have rivets on them. And sometimes you have to weigh the cost analysis of installing a whole new auger assembly down here versus trying to cut all the rivets off and putting bolts and nuts in place of the rivets on here for that. Because we had a job over here I think about 2 years ago. I did it myself, and it took me roughly about almost 3 hours to replace all of the auger paddles on one single stage machine, simply because the actual whole auger unit assembly, what I'm talking about is you get the whole shaft on here, you get all new paddle sets on here as well too. You gotta take it off from the actual auger housing down here. It was about $190, almost $200 for the actual auger assembly. And the thing was, the actual paddles were going for about $35-40. They were like a Stens or a rotary equivalent on there. The only problem was you had to grind off all the rivets on the machine's paddles down there, and that took me a good solid hour and a half to almost 2 hours just doing that. And then you got to put all new bolts and nuts into the auger assembly down there before that. So you got to try to weigh the cost analysis of doing a job right for that. So sometimes it may be more economical to simply replace the whole auger unit assembly versus trying to simply just put new pads on the actual auger assembly for that, guys. So anybody has any comments, questions about this machine here, feel free to leave me a message here. Sorry about the bad weather out here, because it looks totally crappy out here today, guys. I'm sorry about that, but it looks like total crap in the sky. It's just so depressing out here right now, because it's about 32, 33 degrees outside with extremely low clouds out here for that. So that's everything I'm going to tell you about the Troy-Bilt Squall 2100. It's generally a good machine for like light duty, occasional use only out there for that. So if you want to get something that's like light duty only, these things go for about $350 to $400. I was looking online, so that's like an entry-level machine here. Plus, you also have these cutters on here if you get into any kind of like a thick snow out there as well too. That's why they put those cutters on the side right here for that. You start going through any kind of thick snow out there for that. So feel free to drop me any kind of question or comment. I'll try to get back to you probably within 24 to 48 hours if I'm feeling okay. So feel free to do that, guys. I'll see you. Have a nice day.